I've been following tigers inside national parks and tiger reserves for many years. But today, I realize the real story is outside. A third of Indian tigers live in these fringe forests close to human habitation and come into news when they kill or get killed. We decided to get off our fancy jeeps and safe proximities to take a peep into the secret life of these tigers. This film is going to explore why it is critical to save these tigers and their habitats from their vulnerable life, because they are unprotected and because they are forgotten. In the early 2000s, there was a tiger crisis. The crash may have been arrested now, and the numbers are coming back. But a new crisis is slowly taking shape.
I think, Krishnendu, that's the crux of conservation now. I think we have consolidated our tiger reserves. The tiger reserves are doing well with the systems in place, the legislation in place. What is required for long-term tiger survival is these connectivities in the sink habitats. And they are fast vanishing because there is no law which protects them.
Okay, let's start at the beginning. When the tiger numbers increase, reaching carrying capacities, they then disperse to new areas.
All these animals which are surplus animals, more than what the area can sustain, they have to go and find new homes outside of that area. And so you have tigers coming out of these tiger reserves which act as sources. But for this you require buffer areas around tiger reserves so that individuals, surplus individuals from one tiger reserve can actually go on to the other area.
Dr. Jhala talks about source, surplus and buffer. This is amply illustrated by Corbett Tiger Reserve, which has the highest density of tigers in the world. The tigers from Corbett dispersed to Ramnagar to the south and some to the Lansdowne forest in the north. Miraj Anwar is a scientist working with the tigers in the Ramnagar forest. He puts up camera traps along the landscape. So whenever you open this, you are expectant, huh?
Yes.
That you'll get something interesting. Great. So on this bend, a tiger must have gone. This is a female. Miraj showed some amazing shots of the local tigers, especially one with a tiny cub in her mouth. Typically, the 35 tigers in here live in a sea of humanity. I saw an interesting sequence of villagers and tigers using the same landscape. I drove to Lansdowne to try and see some of the spillover tigers from Corbett. There are an estimated 25 tigers here, and the signs were all over. ये बहुत बड़ा है. Lansdowne is also an elephant country, and it was great to see their presence together. और ये टाइगर और हाथी का एक साथ. As we see, the forest adjoining Corbett could hold close to 80 tigers. But as Dr. Chhala said, laws don't protect these forests. The legal status of these forests is reserve forest, which have little protection and resources, unlike the tiger reserves. Bordering Lansdowne is Rajaji National Park. Its eastern shore, Chilla.
Let's go and check this camera trap.
Bibhash Pandav, a scientist from Wildlife Institute of India, has been studying this corridor for many years. He has camera trapped tigers right on the river Ravasan on the border of Rajaji and Lansdowne. So right here, I mean, like these
This forest that you see,
yeah,
this is the
right,
forest where tigers,
right.
there are around 10 to 12 tigers living inside this forest.
This forest,
okay.
huh?
This
Okay.
part of Rajaji
Yeah,
National Park.
right.
And there are also, I mean, it will be wrong to say it as a corridor forest. It's a tiger habitat.
Yeah, we've seen
There are-
so many pug marks and
Exactly.
resident tigers also.
Exactly. There are resident tigers in this area. The tiger that was photographed in 2011 in Lansdowne Forest Division, now he is moving inside Chilla Range.
Wow. The tigers of Lansdowne and eastern Rajaji are the last of the tigers in this trail. The development of cities like Haridwar and Rishikesh along the Ganga break the corridor and prevents the tigers to cross over. The tiger population of western Rajaji crashed from 10 in 2001 to 1 by the latest count.
So the traffic is going to be a one-way traffic. Not even a single tiger has managed to move to the western part of the park. Tigers are slowly disappearing, not on their own, because of the lack of connectivity which has happened due to developmental activities around the park.
Bore River, Kaladungi, Corbett Land. I've been coming here for the last 2 decades, and every time I come here I'm so thrilled to realize that Edward James Corbett walked the same land about 80 years ago. At that time this place was teeming with tigers. Paulgarh, Sitabani, Dechuri Block, Dhumka, everywhere there were tigers and lots of conflict. And here we see things haven't changed much. There are tigers here and the conflict still exists. In these multiple use reserve forests with high human presence, conflict is bound to occur. I'm back in the Ramnagar Reserve Forest to check out the human-tiger conflict. Tigers are known not to leave their kills abandoned and go out too far. To dive into the undergrowth with a tiger lurking close is sure adrenaline thumping.
बड़ा पता है कि पता नहीं है
बड़ा टाइगर था।
हाँ बड़ा टाइगर मेरा घर है
तो सुबह मिला कैसे यहाँ पर?
ये तो निशान देख के
मारा तो नीचे कोशी में ही है।
अच्छा अच्छा, वो खींच के लाया ऊपर।
खींच के लाया दो नीचे है
तीनों को एक साथ पकड़ा।
एक ही टाइगर
ने।
एक दो
The barking deer's alarm call was relentless, telling us that the tiger was agitated because his meal was intruded upon.
come out of this.
Yeah, really? You think it's close?
Yes.
Tiger is moving and I think it's coming to the kill. We should move out fast. Annually, more than 1,000 cattle heads are killed by tigers in the Ramnagar area, which is about 3 per day. The only way to quell the anger and the loss of people is to expedite the compensation.
कब मारा था इसको? कल शाम में।
ये आपके पेपर है, ठीक है?
The incredible tolerance of the people here also helps this process.
थैंक यू, ठीक है?
ऐसा है, हमारा तो दिन रात का संबंध है बाघ शेरू के साथ, क्योंकि हम तो जंगली उस पे है हमारा गांव। तो अब दिन रात का संबंध है, तो फिर कभी कभी नुकसान बाघ भी कर देता है, कभी हम भी घास लकड़ी जंगल से ही लाते हैं, हम भी नुकसान ही तो कर रहे हैं। तो ये लगा के हम अपना मेल मिला लेते हैं।
I asked Neha Verma, the Lansdowne forest officer, about the support these critical tiger populations get from the tiger authorities.
We have lots of problems. We have Gujars here, and that is the number one problem. We don't have enough patrolling funds. We don't have enough protection measures. So, if the status of this area is elevated to a wildlife division, definitely there will be a much boost to.
So what's stopping it from that? Why is the state hasn't done it for so long?
This state doesn't have much of the political way.
The DFO Ramnagar resonated what Neha had said, but in a more pained way, something I would hear repeatedly in my journeys.
टाइगर्स कितने पास के इतने सुरक्षित तो नहीं कह सकती हूँ, क्योंकि यहाँ पे जो ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेज कम है, डिपार्टमेंट के पास इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बहुत कम है। ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेज में कह लीजिए एक एक गार्ड जो है वो 2-2 बीट 3-3 बीट्स कई बीट को देख रहा है। बीट वॉचर्स नहीं हैं प्रॉपरली, बीट वॉचर्स हैं भी तो उनके पास प्रॉपर फील्ड गियर नहीं है, वो चप्पल पहन के जाते हैं। कि कॉर्बेट का टाइगर तो APL है और हमारा टाइगर BPL है, क्यों उनको इतनी सुविधाएं हैं, हमारे टाइगर्स को क्यों सुविधाएं नहीं है? मैं चाहती हूँ कि कॉर्बेट की सीमा पर ही उनको बैजेस दे दिए जाएं ताकि उनसे APL का बैज हटा लिया जाए, BPL का बैज लगा दिया जाए। बेचारे पुअर टाइगर्स ना।
With teeming tigers, rife with rampant state apathy, the story of Corbett's surrounding tiger habitats provide a compelling start to my journey. I chance upon an unbelievable tiger-human cohabitation story. My next stop. This is the reserve forest of Pilibhit, and by the last count there were about 40 tigers in here. And these are the sugarcane fields of the people of Pilibhit. This is the line which divides the forest and the fields, and the tiger sometimes doesn't recognize this line and just hops across into these fields. And this is the story of how the tiger seeks security in the fields of the sugarcane. A couple of 100 miles north of Lansdowne, Ramnagar landscape is the sleepy, dusty town of Pilibhit, where sugarcane is the staple crop in the winters. I had heard of this incredible tiger family who stayed in the sugarcane fields for 6 months. A mother had brought her 3 small cubs to rear in a sugarcane field, traveling some 15 kilometers from her home in the forest. I went looking for this sugarcane family and was told that the tigress mother had gone back into the forest. But one of her matured male cubs was back this year and had taken shelter in Kuldeep's cane fields. ये तो शेर के है ना?
हाँ जी सर। पूरे उसने खुर्चा हुआ है ये तो।
पूरे ऊपर तक गया है ये,
पूरा ऊपर तक है सर, पूरा यहाँ तक है, ये लास्ट है उसमें। पूरा खुर्चा हुआ है ये।
पूरा।
हाँ जी।
वो पता ये नाखून जो है ना वो करते हैं वो
तेज करता है
अपना। ऐसे हम देखते हैं जंगलों में, जंगल के अंदर होता है, खेत में तो पहली बार देख रहा हूँ।
ये है इधर से,
ये
वाले ये सभी इसी गन्ने के आसपास में रहते हैं।
यार ये तो बहुत सही है।
ये वाले ये इसी गन्ने के आसपास में रहते हैं।
वहाँ से आए होंगे वो,
वहाँ से उधर से स्क्रैच
करके आए, फिर
यहाँ इधर से घूमता हुआ।
ये हो गया एक, और ये जा रहे हैं यहाँ से, और ये वाला देखो क्या बढ़िया है यार। खेल कूद रहे थे यहाँ पर।
हाँ जी, ये जैसे
ये
नील गाय
वाले।
के पैर हैं, इन्हीं को वो खाता है मार के।
तो नीलगाय और वो
हाँ,
शेर एक
शेर,
साथ।
हाँ जी, एक ही साथ
क्या
में।
बात है।
वो आगे पीछे कहीं इसके जाता होगा शिकार के लिए, तो वो इन्हीं
प्रे
को,
प्रेडेटर
हाँ जी,
एक साथ
इलाके में फैल गई है सर कि वहाँ पे है रहता है। तो एक तो हमारे मतलब कोई चीज़ छूता नहीं है यहाँ पे कोई भी, जैसे हमारे ट्यूबवेल वगैरह है खुले हुए हैं सब कुछ। दूसरा ये जो जंगली जानवर है जैसे सुअर है, ये हमारा नुकसान करता था, वो हट गया है। नील गाय है वो हट गई है,
वो भी डर गए होंगे,
वो भी डर के मारे
चले
यहाँ
गए
से
होंगे,
एरिया
हाँ।
छोड़ गए हैं। पूरा बड़ा है, इसी में से जैसे ये है,
ये तो यहाँ से निकला होगा, ये तो ये जगह भी बना रखा है ये तो। चले अंदर
रहने दो, छोटे छोटे
तो ठहरे तो। We waited out for the night to fall and see if we could put our night vision camera to capture the tiger. The jackals were out. Maybe the tiger would too. This is a night vision camera. I'm going to try out something and see what the tiger sees. I'm going to get in there and try and see the point of view of a tiger. I've seen a lot of crop depredation by wild animals. I've seen cattle killings, even human killings, and still we have so many tigers, so much wildlife, so much forest. We always, of course, complain and crib that we should have more forest and more protection, etc. But in a country like this, I think there is don't you think there's a lot of tolerance and a lot of cohabitation at least?
No, that's a very good point because without romanticizing it too much, if you look at the situation in India with in comparison to some of these places in Southeast Asia, you find that the tolerance level of the people just to allow an animal to be there, an animal such as a predator, large carnivore, to exist in the landscape and to say it's okay, and to have that tolerance is one reason why we have half the world's tigers in India today.
Joseph works with the Tigers Alive initiative, but in his earlier stint he was with WWF, where he had designed and managed tiger projects outside the protected areas.
And the identification of certain sites. So, yeah.
When big cats roam freely through outskirts of cities and maraud people, this tolerance today is put under severe pressure. Recently, one tiger traveled 250 kilometers through the northern Indian towns and forests and killed 9 people. It was still at large when I was finishing this film. Tigers outside the protected forests are shy of humans. It is almost impossible to view these tigers in daylight as we see them in tiger reserves. Camera traps are perhaps the only way to spot and study them. My journey was largely fraught with strife and conflict, but it was still an inspiring one, like meeting the brave tiger attack survivors, traveling through some incredibly beautiful forest.
अब वो पेटी था सर, वो भाग पूरा निकाल दिया गया है.
Watching intrepid scientists and forest officers risking their lives to follow the tiger on foot, and getting your own jeep stuck in the middle of the tiger country. Okay, there were a few falls too. But as weeks passed, I wondered if I ever would be able to film a hopeful story. And finally I found one in the Western Ghats. These forests, mainly in South India, run across 160,000 square kilometers. The thick, moist, deciduous and rainforest are home to many big and small mammals. Like elsewhere, in Karnataka, the protected forests were scattered and fragmented, as you can see in the patches of grey. A Herculean effort, spanning over 3 years, set up a process which began to change all that. A bunch of determined bureaucrats and a local NGO, Nature Conservation Foundation, brought a proposal to the politicians to sew up the protected areas by bringing in more forests into the legal protection net. The then Forest Secretary, Kaushik Mukherjee, was one of the key officers. I caught up with this wildlife passionate officer and requested him to show us how it all happened.
How are you, sir? How are you? Fantastic. Come. Good. So all this part is now on the PA. This right for Kaveri, you are seeing the complete map of Kaveri Valley Sanctuary from there.
From this valley, that side was the original Kaveri. And after notification, all this, including all this guest house, this area has been added.
So you are connecting this to the
The status of some critical reserve forests, sandwiched between the protected forests, was changed to that of wildlife sanctuary. This extended the legal protection for tigers and helped create contiguous wildlife habitats totaling about 11,000 square kilometers. By any means a great effort. The forgotten tigers got a new lease of life.
That was in fact, it's both newly added and old, it's in between that area. And it's in fact out of our own interest we put up some camera traps. Luckily we bought the tigers with cubs.
Whenever people talk about PAs in the last 30 years, there's been huge controversies of people's rights and how people have been thrown away. In the early 70s, 80s when first Project Tiger came in Kanha. In fact, I had made a film earlier also on how Adivasis were thrown out of the forest and things like that. So this particular part, all of you must be very conscious of.
So wildlifing is a very elite kind of profession. Most of the things you sit here like this with the outfit, have a binocular. So this is what wildlifing is. But then this is not real. This is not something that you do by impinging on livelihoods of people. What we have done is people friendly. So this is a very good question you asked. So what prevented us from adding everything into green, by the green areas? It's because we have concern for the people. We have done it in a way that we have not affected anybody. So wherever we have found people somewhere, we have left them as it is. So we have connected areas which are people-less.
The Karnataka example sends out a strong message that if the civil society, the bureaucrats, and the politicians set their minds to protect wildlife and forests, it isn't impossible.